Coming up on 5 Minute News. Joe Biden announces 2024 election run. Justice Neil Gorsuch sold undisclosed property to law firm. And mastermind of suicide bombing at Kabul airport killed by Taliban. It's Wednesday, April 26. I'm Anthony Davis. President Joe Biden launched his re-election bid on Tuesday with a promise to protect American liberties from extremists linked to former President Donald Trump, whom he beat in 2020 and may face again in 2024. Biden made his announcement in a video released by his new campaign team that opens with imagery from the January 6 attack on the U.S. Capitol by Donald Trump's supporters. He described Republican platforms as threats to American freedoms, vowed to fight efforts to limit women's health care, cut Social Security and ban books, and blasted MAGA extremists. Despite Biden's approval rating, his aides are confident he can beat Trump again. A Reuters Ipsos poll showed him with a lead of 43 to 38% over his Republican rival among registered voters. In his campaign video, Biden squarely targeted Trump and his allies. In the 2 years since he took over from Trump, Biden won Congress's approval for billions of dollars in federal funds to tackle the COVID-19 pandemic and for new infrastructure, and oversaw the lowest levels of unemployment since 1969, although a 40-year inflation high has been weaponized against him. Speaking to a meeting of North America's building trades unions, Biden said his economic plan was working, but there was more to do. Biden's age makes his re-election bid an historic and risky gamble for the Democratic Party, especially if he faces a much younger Republican candidate. Doctors declared Biden, who does not drink alcohol and exercises 5 times a week, fit for duty after an examination in February. The White House said his record shows he is mentally sharp enough for the rigors of the job. Biden will be joined in his 2024 quest by his running mate, Vice President Kamala Harris, who is featured prominently in his campaign video. The U.S. Supreme Court Justice Neil Gorsuch made as much as $500,000 from a 2017 real estate sale, according to a new report, but did not disclose the identity of the buyer, the chief executive of a law firm with extensive business before the High Court. The news represents a new headache for the Chief Justice John Roberts, who Democrats want to testify over extensive media reporting about the relationship between Clarence Thomas, another conservative, and a Republican megadonor, Harlan Crow. Gorsuch was confirmed in 2017, the first of 3 appointments under Donald Trump, which tilted the court firmly to the right. He has since voted with conservative majorities in decisions including the removal of the federal right to abortion and a loosening of gun control laws. The chief executive who bought property from Gorsuch, Brian Duffy of Greenberg Traurig, said he had never spoken to Gorsuch. "I've never met him," he said. But news of Duffy's $1.8 million purchase of the Colorado property, of which Gorsuch was one of 3 co-owners, and which the justice said in disclosure documents netted him between $250,000 and $500,000 after being on the market for 2 years, followed news of Harlan Crow's largesse to Clarence Thomas. ProPublica reported Crow's gifts, including luxury travel and holidays, and Thomas's failure to declare them. Politico also noted Greenberg's involvement in a major lawsuit over a climate change plan during Barack Obama's presidency. Gorsuch, it said, joined the court's other 5 conservatives in agreeing with the plaintiffs, including Greenberg's client, that the Environmental Protection Agency had overstepped its authority by regulating carbon emissions from power plants. The Taliban have killed the senior Islamic State group leader behind the August 2021 suicide bombing outside Kabul airport that left 13 U.S. service members and about 170 Afghans dead, according to the father of a Marine killed in the attack, who was briefed on Tuesday by military officials. Over the weekend, the US military began to inform families of the 11 Marines, the sailor and the soldier killed in the blast at Abbey Gate during the US withdrawal from Afghanistan. The IS leader, whose identity has not been released, was killed in southern Afghanistan in early April as the Taliban conducted a series of operations against the Islamic State group. The Taliban at the time were not aware of the identity of the person they killed. The blast at Abbey Gate came hours after Western officials warned of a major attack, urging people to leave the airport. But that advice went largely unheeded by Afghans desperate to escape the country in the last few days of an American-led evacuation before the US officially ended its 20-year presence. The Afghanistan-based offshoot of the Islamic State, with up to 4,000 members, is the Taliban's most bitter enemy and a top threat militarily. After the Trump administration reached a 2020 deal with the Taliban to withdraw US troops from Afghanistan, and the Biden administration followed through on that agreement, there had been hope in Washington that the Taliban's desire for international recognition and assistance for the country's impoverished population might moderate their behavior. But relations between the US and the Taliban have deteriorated significantly since they imposed draconian new measures banning girls from school and excluding women from working for international aid and health agencies. You can subscribe to the 5-Minute News Patreon for bonus videos, commentary, and more. Go to patreon.com/5minutenews.